Hello students, welcome to CET Sankalp classes. Today we are going to deal with thermal properties of matter. So as you know that this is our first year topic, right? In this chapter we will discuss mainly about heat and temperature. So this chapter will give us clear idea what is the main difference between heat and temperature. So before going to start with the question answers in this chapter, we will see some of the synopsis. So as you know that heat and temperature, how we define heat is nothing but what? It is the hotness or coldness of a body. Heat is nothing but it is the hotness or the sensation of hotness or coldness of a body is called as heat. What is temperature? Temperature is nothing but it is the measure of that hotness or coldness of a body is called as temperature. To measure the hotness or coldness of a body, we have different temperature scales. So in our study, we will discuss mainly about Celsius scale, Fahrenheit scale, and Kelvin scale. So these are the main three scale we discuss in our concept. Here in this slide, we can see how can you convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit scale or Fahrenheit scales to Celsius scale, and temperature, that is Kelvin scale to Celsius scale, and Celsius scales to Kelvin scale. Similarly, Fahrenheit scales to Kelvin scale and Kelvin scales to Fahrenheit scale. So here we have three formulas. I hope you are able to see this. Here you can see in the first one we have Tc is equal to, where this Tc is nothing but temperature in the Celsius scale. Tc is nothing but it is the temperature in Celsius scale. So you can convert the temperature which is given in terms of Fahrenheit into Celsius scale by using this formula, that is Tc is equal to 5 by 9 Tf minus 32. So this is the formula by which you can convert a given Fahrenheit scale into a Celsius scale, that is 5 by 9 into bracket Tf minus 32. Next, if you have a temperature in terms of Celsius, how can you convert into Fahrenheit scale? So the formula is, that is Tf is equal to 9 by 5 into bracket Tc plus 32, where Tc is the temperature in Celsius scale, Tf is the temperature in Fahrenheit scale. Then second one, here we have the relation between Kelvin scale and the Celsius scale. Here Kelvin scale is denoted by capital T and temperature in Celsius scale, here we will take it in terms of Tc. That is T is equal to Tc plus 273.15. So if you have, suppose if you have temperature like 30 degrees Celsius, how can you convert that 30 degrees Celsius into Kelvin scale? That is 30 plus 273.15. Then you will get the temperature value in terms of Kelvin. Similarly, we have Tc is equal to T minus 273.15. Suppose the temperature is given like 40 Kelvin. How can you convert it into Celsius scale? This is the relation, that is Tc is equal to T minus 273.15. That is your second formula. Then we have the third formula here, that is Tf is equal to, that is temperature in Fahrenheit scale is equal to 9 by 5 T minus 459.67. So this is what conversion of Fahrenheit, that is Kelvin scale into a Fahrenheit scale. Similarly, vice versa, that is we have the temperature in Fahrenheit. So how to convert it in terms of Kelvin scale? That is T is equal to 5 by 9 Tf plus 255.37. So these are the 6 formulas which you can use to convert it from one scale to the other scale, right? So this is the temperature scale. Next we have the temperature at which both the Celsius scale and the Fahrenheit scale will show the same reading. So what is the temperature value here? The temperature value is given by It is minus 40 degrees Celsius. The temperature is given by minus 40 degrees Celsius. So how you will get this minus 40 degrees Celsius? Here, Here, if I use this formula, that is Tc is equal to 5 by 9 into bracket Tf minus 32. Here, what I am saying, that is Fahrenheit and the Celsius scales are showing the same reading for particular temperature. So what is the value of that temperature? How to do that? Here, Tc and Tf are what? Temperature at Celsius scale and the Fahrenheit scale. So instead of taking this as Tc and Tf, we can take it in general as that is T here. So T is equal to, that is 5 by 9 into bracket T minus 32. What I did, I just taken that Tc and Tf is equal to as T. So if you simplify this equation, for only T, you will get the T value as minus 40 degrees Celsius. Means the temperature in the Fahrenheit and the Celsius both will show the same reading at minus 40 degrees Celsius. Then the next point is temperature at which Fahrenheit and Kelvin scale give the same reading is nearly 574. It is nearly equal to 574. So students, which formula we use here? That is the formula which is relating for Fahrenheit and Kelvin scale. You can see in the given above formula which is relating Fahrenheit and the Kelvin scale, you can take the C formula here. Any of the one formula you can take and you can simplify here. Same way you simplify, take Tf and capital T is equal to 1 temperature as theta you can consider. On simplifying, you will get the temperature as 574. Am I clear? So here the next slide we have, that is in this next slide, we are going to see the different coefficients of thermal expansion. So what is thermal expansion here? Thermal expansion is nothing but due to the heat. Thermal means what? Due to heat. Expansion, the increase in the dimensions takes place. So that is called as thermal expansion. So in this thermal expansion, we have three types. That is linear expansion, area expansion, and volume expansion. Right? So in these three types, based on the dimension, we are going to divide these three. That is linear, in the sense the length is increasing, that is called as linear expansion. Area expansion, increase in the area takes place. Volume expansion, where the increase in the volume takes place. So here the coefficient of linear expansion is denoted by alpha. Coefficient of area expansion is denoted by beta, and the coefficient of volume expansion is denoted by gamma. Here, delta L is the change in the length. Delta L is what? It is the change in length where L is the original length, means before heating the length of the rod is given by L. After heating the change in the length is denoted by delta L, where delta T is the temperature here. It is the change in temperature. As I told you, alpha, beta, gamma are what? Coefficient of linear expansion, area expansion and volume expansion. Here, coefficient of linear expansion is given by, that is, delta L by L is equal to alpha into delta T. Similarly, coefficient of area expansion is given by delta A by A is equal to beta into delta T. And coefficient of volume expansion is given by gamma is equal to delta V by V into delta T. So students, you need to remember these formulas, whatever we are using, so that we can simplify our numericals easily. Okay. Next, here the relation between, that is, alpha, beta and gamma, that is linear expansion, area expansion and volume expansion is given by, it is given by, that is, gamma is equal to 3 alpha, means the volume expansion is, thrice of the linear expansion, and area expansion beta is equal to twice of the linear expansion. Okay, or we can also say it like alpha, beta, gamma are in the ratio of 1:2:3. Suppose the value of alpha is 1, the value of beta will be 2, the value of gamma will be 3. That is in the ratio of 1:2:3 here. So this is regarding the different coefficients of thermal expansion. Then next, here we have thermal stress concept. Here you can see what is stress here. Stress is nothing but force per unit area. Stress is nothing but this force per unit area. Thermal stress means what? Due to the heat. It is due to the heat. Thermal stress is given by F by A is equal to, that is, alpha delta T into Y here. This Y is nothing but, it is Young's modulus of rigidity. It is nothing but Young's modulus of rigidity. Okay, that is alpha delta T into Y. The specific heat capacity of a substance is defined as. So what is specific heat capacity? Specific heat capacity is nothing but, it is the amount of heat required to increase the temperature of the substance by 1 degree Celsius. That is called as what? Specific heat capacity. It is denoted by the letter S. In some books, we see that specific heat capacity is denoted by the letter C. So that is S is equal to 1 by M delta Q by delta T, where M is the mass of the body or the mass of the substance. Delta Q is the heat required to change its temperature by delta T. Okay. Similarly, we can define the molar specific heat capacity. Here, the molar specific heat capacity is defined by C here. It is given by C, that is equal to 1 by N delta Q by delta T, where N is the number of moles of the substance, where N is the number of moles of the substance. So in both the formulas, specific heat capacity and molar heat capacity, here delta Q by delta T is same. Here instead of mass M, here molar specific heat capacity, we take N, that is number of moles of the substance. So students, in the next slide, we are discussing about heat transfer. So there are 3 ways to transfer heat from one given point to the other point. So what are the 3 methods to transfer heat here? We can transfer the heat by conduction, by convection, or by radiation. So these are the modes. We can say that these are the modes to transfer the heat from a given point to the other point. Here, compared to all these 3, that is conduction, convection, and radiation, radiation is the fastest of them all and does not require a material medium. The main difference between the conduction, convection, and radiation is that radiation does not require medium for its propagation. Here, heat can be transferred without any material medium. Next, in conduction, heat is transferred between the neighboring parts of a body through molecular collisions without any flow of matter. So in case of a conduction, the molecules will not move from one point to the other point. Suppose if you are heating a rod here, you are heating an iron rod here, the molecules or the atoms will not move from the heating part to the other end of the rod. Here the energy is getting transferred due to the collision of the molecules. They are not moving from its place. It will just vibrate and transfer the energy. That is in case of conduction. Next, here for a bar of length L and uniform cross section A with its ends, which is maintained at temperature Tc and Td. Means here we have a uniform rod which is at two different temperature, that is Tc and Td. The rate of flow of heat is given by, H is equal to K into A, Tc minus Td divided by L, where K is called as thermal conductivity of the material, A is area of cross section, Tc and Td are the two different temperature, L is the length of the given rod, here. So here the K value, that is thermal conductivity of the material, will be different for different material. Okay. Next, here Q is nothing but what? Heat. It is also given by K into A, T1 minus T2 into T divided by X, where Q is the amount of heat that flows in time T across the opposite faces of a rod of length X, and A is the area of cross section, T1, T2 are the temperature. So here this formula can be used to calculate the amount of heat flow in the given body, So here whatever the unknown terms are there, according to that you can transfer the terms and calculate the required quantity. Okay, Q is heat, K is thermal conductivity, A is area, T1, T2 are the temperature in time T, X is the length of that given conductor. Okay, then next we have, that is Q is equal to minus Ka into bracket dt divided by dx into T. So what is this dt divided by dx? Here instead of writing T1 minus T2, I am writing it as rate of change of temperature, that is dt divided by dx. You can see this is also called as temperature gradient. Here H is equal to, we write it as dq by dt. What is H here? H is called as heat current. So students, how we define current here? Current is nothing but what? The rate of flow of charge, that is called as current. Here we are defining heat current. So how you define heat current? Heat current is nothing but what? The rate of change of heat is called as heat current. Already we have dq is equal to our equation minus k into A dt by dx into T. Here we are taking heat current that is divided by dt. Therefore, you will get the final equation for heat current as minus k into A dt divided by dx. Then this is regarding the conduction process and the formulas related to conduction of a heat. Next, we have the convection concept. So convection involves flow of matter within a fluid due to unequal temperatures of its parts. So convection is nothing but what? It is the heat transfer due to the motion of the molecule. Here the molecules will move from one point to the other point. The example for convection of a heat is a hot bar placed under a running tap loses heat by conduction between the surface of the bar and water not by convection within the water. Here, the convection takes place between the bar and the water, not within the water here. So this is the example for convection process. Then next we have some of the laws like Stephen's law, Wien's displacement law, and Newton's law of cooling. So here let us see some laws. That is first one we are going to deal with Stephen's law of radiation. So what is the Stephen's law of radiation states? It states that the energy emitted by a black body per unit area per second is directly proportional to the fourth power of its Kelvin temperature. So here I'll repeat the statement. The energy emitted, you can see here we have written one equation also. Here we have an equation that is E is equal to, you can see that equation is E is equal to sigma into T to the power 4. That is nothing but energy emitted. So you just compare the equation with the statement what it is written. Energy emitted by a black body per unit time and per unit area, it is directly proportional to the fourth power of its Kelvin temperature. Here actually we write it as, that is E is directly proportional to T to the power of 4. We remove the proportionality sign and take some constant, and that constant is nothing but our sigma here. Here it is written that constant is nothing but sigma, where sigma is called as Stephen's constant, So this is nothing but, that is Stephen's law. The energy emitted per unit area per second is directly proportional to the fourth power of the Kelvin temperature. Next, we are going to deal with Newton's law of cooling. So this Newton's law of cooling states that the rate of cooling of a body is directly proportional to the excess temperature of the body over the surrounding. So this is Newton's law of cooling. Here you can see that equation for Newton's law of cooling is given by, that is dq by dt, that is rate of cooling of a body, is directly proportional to the excess temperature. So that excess temperature here we take it as what? T2 minus T1, where T1 is the temperature of the surrounding and T2 is the temperature of the body. So temperature of the body will be more, minus surrounding temperature, you will get the change in temperature value, or you will get the excess temperature of the body. So if you see the law here, the rate of cooling is directly proportional to the excess temperature of the body. Again, to remove the proportionality sign, we are taking a constant K here. We are taking a constant K. Here, what is this negative sign indicates? The negative sign indicates that the rate of cooling is decreases here. It decreases with time. Therefore, we are taking a negative sign in the equation. We take a negative sign in the equation. So this is regarding Stephen's law and Newton's law of cooling. The next slide we are going to deal with the equation for the Newton's law. After simplification of the law, we are getting ln of T1 minus T0 divided by T2 minus T0 is equal to K into T. Here you just remember the formula so that while simplifying, we can further simplify it ln into log and we can simplify our equations. Then we have one more formula, that is T1 minus T2 divided by T, where capital T1, T2 are temperature of the body and the surrounding. Small t is the time here, is equal to K into bracket T1 minus T2 divided by T minus T0 minus T naught. So here the above two equations represents the Newton's law of cooling. Here T is the time taken by a body to cool from T1 to T2 in a surrounding at temperature T naught. T naught is the temperature of the surrounding. The body is taking time T to cool from T1 to T2. Then the next law we have, that is Wien's displacement law. So this Wien's displacement law states that lambda m into T is equal to constant. So what is the meaning of this here? Where lambda m is the maximum wavelength for the corresponding energy, or we can also call it as wavelength corresponding to maximum energy. And the constant is known as Wien's constant. So that is lambda into m into T is equal to constant. Here actually it is wavelength corresponding to maximum energy is inversely proportional to the temperature. That is the statement for Wien's displacement law. So after simplifying, we get it as lambda m into T is equal to constant. So that constant is nothing but our Wien's constant here. The next point we have here, that is calorimeter. So in this calorimetry, it is nothing but here, before going to define calorimetry, we have some terms like calorie, specific heat. This calorimetry is nothing but it is a device used to measure the heat. So the terms which we are using here, that is 1 calorie. 1 calorie is nothing but it is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water from 1 degree Celsius. Here just example I have taken, that is 14.5 degrees Celsius to 15.5 degrees Celsius. It is known as 1 calorie. Okay. Then next, already we have the specific heat capacity I have defined earlier. So here we have specific heat, the amount of heat energy needed to rise the temperature of unit mass of that substance by 1 degree Celsius. It is denoted by C or S. I told you already we have seen this formula. Here, the water is having the highest specific heat capacity and the value is 4,200 joules per kg per Kelvin. It is 4,200 joules per kg per Kelvin. Actually, we round it as 4,200 joules per kg per Kelvin, or else the value is 4186. Okay, to calculate, we can take this round for number only, that is 4,200. Then next we have thermal capacity. So what is thermal capacity here? The quantity of heat required to raise the temperature of the whole of that substance through 1 degree Celsius is called as thermal capacity. So what is thermal capacity? It is heat required to raise the temperature of the whole of that substance through 1 degree Celsius. This thermal capacity is equal to mass into specific heat. It is mass into specific heat. So water equivalent of a body. Mass of water having the same thermal capacity as the body is called as what? Water equivalent of the body. So the water equivalent of the body is given by W is equal to mass into specific heat. It is given by mass into specific heat. The next concept we have here, that is latent heat. So in latent heat, we define latent heat of vaporization, latent heat of fusion, right? So what is latent heat here? Latent heat is nothing but it is hidden heat. So latent heat is also called as what? Hidden heat. So what is hidden heat or latent heat? Here, latent heat means, suppose if you have a beaker which is containing ice cubes, if you keep a thermometer, it will show some temperature. So unless and until if you start heating that beaker, unless and until all the ice cubes gets converted in the form of water, here there is no rise in the temperature in that what is that? We are using thermometer. Here what happens? Once all the solid is getting converted in the form of liquid, then the temperature slowly starts increasing. So here the question comes, where the heat went, whatever we have supplied. Here that heat is utilized to change the temperature from, or the body from solid to liquid. That heat is utilized to change the state from solid to liquid here. Unless and until all the solid gets converted in the form of liquid, here there is no increase in the temperature in the thermometer. That heat is called as what? Latent heat. So what is latent heat of vaporization? It is the quantity of heat required to change its 1 kg mass from liquid to vapor state at its boiling point. It is the heat required to change 1 kg of mass from liquid to vapor state at its boiling point. For water, latent heat of vaporization value is 536 kilocalorie per kg. Then next we have law of mixtures. So what is this law of mixtures here? When two bodies at different temperatures are mixed, heat will be transferred from body at higher temperature to a body at lower temperature till both the body acquire the same temperature. We also call it as equilibrium temperature. So when two bodies of different temperature are mixed, here the heat exchange takes place. Till what the heat exchange takes place? Till both the bodies acquire the same temperature. That is law of mixture here. This is also used in the principle of calorimetry. That is heat lost by the body is equal to heat gained by the body. It is heat lost by the body is equal to heat gained by the body. So principle of calorimetry represents the law of conservation of heat energy. If we take temperature of mixture as T, it is always greater than or equal to lower temperature TL and less than or equal to higher temperature TH. This is law of mixture. Then next we have thermal conductivity. Suppose an amount of heat Q flows through the rod in time T, then rate of heat flow, that is H is equal to Q by T. Here already we have defined it. You can see the figure. That is two different temperature. We can consider theta 1 and theta 2. And already we have discussed this formula. So what is thermal resistance here? Thermal resistance is nothing but what? The thermal resistance of a body, it is a measure of its opposition to the flow of heat through it. It is defined as the ratio of temperature difference to the heat current. It is defined as, it is the opposition. Our resistance means what? Already we know that resistance is nothing but opposition to the flow of current. Here thermal is there. Therefore, it is opposition to the flow of heat through it. It is defined as the ratio of temperature difference to the heat current. Here it is given by temperature difference is equal to theta 1 minus theta 2, where L is the length. Heat current is given by H. A is area of cross section. So here thermal resistance is given by the formula theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by H. Or you can also write it as theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by Q by T. So you know already H can be written as Q by T. Q can be written as Ka into T1, theta 1 minus theta 2. So like that you can simplify this equation, and at the end we can come for one small equation, that is thermal resistance RTH is equal to L divided by K into A. Based on the given value, you can use the formula. Then suppose if two conductors are connected in series. Here what is the formula? The K equivalent thermal conductivity of these two which is connected in series is given by 2 K1 K2 divided by K1 into K1 plus K2. 2 K1 K2 into 2 K1 into K2 divided by K1 plus K2. So this is the formula when the conductors are connected in series. Next we have when the conductors are connected in parallel formula. Here you can see the formula is given by K1 into A1 plus K2 into A2 divided by A1 plus A2, where A1, A2 are the area and K1, K2 are what? Thermal conductivity of those two conductors. Right. So this is regarding the thermal conductivity of a rod when it is connected in series, when it is connected in parallel. So already we defined convection. So convection is nothing but what? Actual movement of the molecules takes place. So here land and sea bridges are due to the convection. This is the example, and temperature of the upper part of the flame is more than the temperature on the sides because the currents of air carry the heat in the upward direction. The flame takes the shape moving in upward direction due to convection. So here there is the example for convection of a body. Already we know radiation is the fastest among all these two. And in radiation, here we define some terms like emissive power, that is denoted by E. This is for a given surface, it is defined as the radiant energy emitted per second per unit area of the surface. That is emissive power. It is called as emissive power. Then next, what is spectral emissive power? Emissive power of a surface for a particular wavelength instead of all wavelength is spectral emissive power. It is denoted by E lambda. So here total emissive power is there. It is the maximum for a perfectly black body and minimum for a smooth shining body. Then we have absorptive power. So what is absorptive power? It is the ratio of radiant energy absorbed by it in a given time to the total radiant energy incident on the same time. So this is absorptive power. The value of absorptive power is 1 for perfectly black body and it has no unit and no dimensions. So if there is a question like name in given quantities which is unitless and dimensionless. So this is one more example for that. That is absorptive power is also a unitless and dimensionless quantity. What is relative emissivity? The ratio of radiant energy emitted per unit time per unit surface area of a body at a given temperature to the radiant energy emitted per unit time per unit surface for a perfectly black body at same temperature. That is E is equal to E divided by EB. So here relative emissive power is given by E divided by EB. E is what? It is the radiant energy emitted per unit time per unit surface for a given body. That is relative emissivity. Then next we have a perfectly black body. A perfectly black body is defined as which will completely absorb all the radiation of whatever wavelength falls on it. That is called as perfectly black body. So here we have some properties of a perfectly black body. So what are the properties of perfectly black body? Let us see. A perfectly black body absorbs all the radiant heat. Properties of perfectly black body. In that first one, a perfectly black body absorbs all the radiant heat incident upon it. So that is absorptive power A is equal to, it is given by 1 for a perfectly black body. A perfectly black body does not reflect or transmit the radiant heat incident upon it. It will not reflect and transmit. It will only absorb here. The coefficient of emission of a perfectly black body is how much? It is 1. Therefore, it is a very good emitter of heat here. A perfectly black body does not exist in the nature. So 100% perfect black body we don't have in the nature. So nearly equal, or the practical purpose, we take lamp black is treated as a perfectly black body as its coefficient of absorption is 0.98. It should be 1, is nearly equal to 1, that is 0.98. So that is lamp black, we consider it as a perfectly black body in the nature. So this is cooling curve, that is Newton's cooling curve. So if you plot the graph, theta versus Ct time, you will get a curve here. Or if you plot the graph of rate of cooling versus theta temperature difference, you will get a straight line. So regarding the formula, already we have discussed. Then the last concept, we have the last one statement, Wien's displacement law. So what is this Wien's displacement law? At every temperature, a body radiates energy of all the wavelength. According to Wien's displacement law, if the wavelength corresponds to the maximum energy is lambda m, then lambda m t is equal to b, where b is called as Wien's constant. Already we discussed Wien's displacement law. What is that? The maximum wavelength is inversely proportional to the temperature. So here the proportionality constant b is nothing but what? It is Wien's constant. It is called as Wien's constant. So students, this is regarding the synopsis of thermal properties of matter. Then next we are going to start with the questions. That is, first question here we have, mud houses are cooler in summer season and warmer in winter. So why it happens? Mud houses are cooler in summer and warmer in winter. We have four options like mud is superconductor of heat, mud is a good conductor of heat, mud is a bad conductor of heat, none of these. So in the given option, C option is correct. That is, mud is a bad conductor of heat because it prevents the flow of heat between the surrounding and the inside. So here C option is right. It is a bad conductor of heat. Therefore, it is cooler in summer and warmer in the winter. Then the next question is, a slab consists of two parallel layers of copper and brass of same thickness and having thermal conductivities in the ratio 1:4. If the free phase of brass is at 100 degrees Celsius and that of copper at 0 degrees Celsius, the temperature of interface is. So here the question is, you have two slabs, parallel layers. One is of copper and brass having thickness, thermal conductivity in the ratio of 1:4. If the face of the brass is at 100 degrees Celsius and copper at 0 degrees Celsius, so what is the temperature of the interface? So how you are going to do this, students? Here we know already, when they are connected in parallel, when the two rods are connected in parallel, we are using a formula. So we have a formula that is theta is equal to, so here you can take it down. That is theta is equal to K1 into theta 1. We have K1 into theta 1 plus K2 into theta 2 divided by K1 plus K2. So here you can see they have given the ratio of thermal conductivity as what? 1:4. That is nothing but K1 divided by K2 is equal to, we have it is equal to 1 divided by 4. Therefore, we can take, if K1 is equal to K, if we take it as K1 is equal to K and K2 is equal to, so in the equation here you can see K1 divided by K2 is equal to, we have 1 divided by 4. If K1 is equal to K, therefore K2 is equal to what it becomes? It becomes 4K. It becomes 4K. Right. So here you can take K2 is equal to 4K. Now you have K1 is equal to K and K2 is equal to 4K, and theta 1, theta 2 as 0 and 100. Just substitute in the given formula. That is K1 theta 1 plus K2 theta 2 divided by K1 plus K2. So here K1 is in place of K1. K1 ಸ್ಥಳದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು K ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ. Theta 1 ಇರುವಲ್ಲಿ 0 plus K2 ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ 4K into theta 2 ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ 100 divided by K1 plus K2, that is 4K plus K. You will get it answer as the answer will be simplified. Take K1 is equal to K, K2 is equal to 4K and simplify the equation. Then you will get option A, that is 80 degrees Celsius. So here the correct option is, that is 80 degrees Celsius. So 80 degrees Celsius is the correct answer. So students, in the next class, we will continue with the further questions. Thank you.